mentioned. It shows the riots in more detail, with crowds storming the Capitol, then fleeing moments later from tear gas. Then you see many of them try to enter the Capitol again. One guy's yelling, "That's all you got?" This clip shows a group of people destroying gear from news crews, including the Associated Press, slamming it on the ground, attempting to set it on fire. One man says, quote, "Traitors to the guillotine." Another can be heard yelling, "We are at war." Now, again, we're trying to be measured in what we broadcast to you tonight. But this scene is worth watching when the rioters reached the Senate.
Where the are they? Where are they?
While we're here, we might as well set up a government.
Hey, let's take a seat, people! Let's take a seat! Hey, Nancy Pelosi. Let's vote on some Where the is Nancy? Treason! 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 Treason!
Defend your Constitution! Defend your liberty! Defend your Constitution! Defend your liberty! Defend your Constitution!
That's just some of the new video from The New Yorker this evening. And it comes the same weekend as a lot of new polling on the riot and on the president. A survey from ABC News and The Washington Post shows that 89% of Americans say they oppose the attack. 7 in 10 Americans say President Trump bears at least some of the responsibility. But only 56%, a slim majority, says Congress should remove Mr. Trump and disqualify him from holding elected office again. Contrast that with our latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll. President Trump will leave office with a 43% approval rating. It's remained fairly consistent throughout his time in office, even after he was impeached for the second time. 87% of Republicans say they approve of his job performance. Joining us now to talk about that polling and the future of the GOP is former RNC Chairman Michael Steele, who is also an MSNBC political analyst. Sir, good evening. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, man.
What do you make of those poll numbers?
Well, they actually are representative of what we've seen over the last 4 years, and certainly what we've seen inside the GOP at particular inflection points of crises. Instead of breaking ranks or creating a new approach to dealing with Donald Trump, Republicans tend to hunker down. They tend to stay fairly lockstep with him, regardless of what he does. It is something that social scientists and political scientists will be examining for generations to understand exactly what was it about this man that required such deep loyalty in the face of what we've just seen 2 weeks ago, an insurrection that he inspired. So I'm not surprised by the polling at all. I'm not surprised that a vast majority of Americans are appalled by what happened and are probably very happy to see Donald Trump go. But we should not also be surprised that 87% of self-identified Republicans or conservatives still stand with Donald Trump.
I wonder what you really make of the poll numbers. I know when you're biting your tongue, and I can see the blood coming out the corner of your mouth, especially in light of the future of the party, the incoming Biden administration, Democrats having the House, taking the Senate, and a lot of talk about what the future of the party may be. I know it's no secret that you are not a fan of Donald Trump, but in terms of what these numbers say about the future of a party that you fought so hard for, like I remember last time you were on, or I think it was 2 appearances ago, you talked about what you do if someone comes in your house and tries to kick you out of your own home.
Right.
Now it seems like the house is on fire and it's threatening to take the neighborhood.
Yeah, it does. And this is a very different circumstance than we saw the last time we talked about where the party was. There is no doubt now, and I really think people need to really get a grip here. There's no doubt that this party is firmly in the hands of Trump. The question becomes whether or not you see over the next 6 months, 6 to 18 months leading up to the next political cycle in 2022, whether you have more Liz Cheneys and more Mitt Romneys and more Ben Sasses emerge from the ranks. Certainly you won't see that in the House with almost 2/3 of the House Republicans standing with this crazy. But we're going to be looking to see what Senate Republicans do and how they emerge in their leadership to sort of reorient the party. I think it's going to be a real struggle. I think it's going to be a very difficult struggle. And while I'm still on the front porch with the light is a lot dimmer this week than it was the last time we talked. And at some point, I fear it may go out. Joshua, I said leading up to last Wednesday that what happened on Wednesday, not even having a clue what would transpire, but just looking at the fact that Republicans were planning to challenge the election, that if they did so, they would seal themselves inside the tomb that Donald Trump had built. Well, they have. And I don't see anyone right now on the horizon to break open that tomb to rescue them.
Well, that might be a good place to bring in a viewer question from Bill, who asked about the senator who raised the initial objection to the Electoral College vote, Ted Cruz of Texas. Here is what Bill left in our inbox.
Hello, I'm Bill Schultz from Lilburn, Georgia. Most Republican senators seem dismissive of the upcoming impeachment trial. But wouldn't it be a good idea for someone like Senator Ted Cruz to vote for an impeachment conviction and barring Trump from holding office if they want to run for president in 2024? Some Cruz allies should talk with him about this.
Bill, it's a very interesting question, especially, Michael, since Ted Cruz was one of the gutsier ones at the RNC in 2016 who didn't even call Donald Trump's name during the conference and got some very mixed reactions from the crowd for that, and now seems to be one of his strongest defenders. What would you say to Bill?
Well, I would say to Bill, just, it's not what they say, it's what they do. And that capitulation by Ted Cruz is complete. I don't know how you come back around and saddle up with someone who called your daddy, conspirator to kill the president of the United States and says your wife is ugly. But Ted Cruz clearly didn't mind. And the political alliance with Trump was more valuable to him than defending democracy. Yes, he uses the flowery words as some sort of constitutional, mensch or whatever. But the reality of it is he's nothing but a cold calculating politician. And I would say to him, don't expect Ted Cruz to vote for convicting the president, because that doesn't work with his short-term political narrative.
Before I have to let you go, I put it out on Facebook just to talk to Trump voters about how they reflect on their votes now. Quite a few of them said things similar to what I saw from Angela, who wrote, and this is just the first sentence, but it kept coming up, that it is only about policy, not personality. That there seems to have been a shift, at least among the Trump voters who engaged with me, and thank you all for talking to me on Facebook. I really appreciate it, that they made a very different decision in how they voted for Donald Trump than, say, the way they voted for Ronald Reagan, where it wasn't about casting a beautiful, florid image of the America that could be, but it felt much more transactional. Like it or not, I wonder if that's part of the future, before I got to let you go, if that's part of the future of understanding and maybe rebuilding the Republican Party, is just accepting that some people didn't make a principal vote about Donald Trump. They made a policy vote, they made a transactional vote, and even now, they're cool with that.
Yeah, they are cool with that, and I would debate the policy transactional part, because beyond build a wall and some of the other hot rhetoric that we've heard, there was no real consistent policy perspective. So this, I think, has to do with the transaction of grievance. It has to deal with the fact that he was the perfect avatar to express the frustration and anger, which should not be discounted. But I think that was much more in play, for me at least, in observing this than anything else.
Former RNC Chairman Michael Steele, I swear one night we will have you on to talk about something other than your house being on fire or getting broken into or having plagues and locusts or being on a fault line. I swear we will talk to you about more than that.
You floorboards in, man. Come on.
You will get this fixer-upper fixed up one of these days. But I appreciate you making time for us. We'll get it done. You'll get it done. Thanks very much.